What's going on, everybody? I hope you're all doing well. You know who it is, John Simmons, djwoopig, starting a new year, right? So a little change here at the office. As you notice, it's probably a little bit darker, a little bit, a little bit more scenic in the back, but that is another story for another day. Today, we've actually got my CPA on, and I know at the end of last year's Vlogmas, when we did the financial videos, those really took off extremely well. I think even like today, those videos don't have any downvotes, just because I think you guys really appreciate the open honesty and the transparency when it comes to me and my company. So I'm gonna have on today my CPA, Roland Moy. He's fantastic. He's also a DJ, so it's always good to get an insight, especially with starting a new year, of where you sit financially. And I think you guys will enjoy it. It's a little bit longer format, so if you haven't done so, you're going to be here for a minute. Get a pen and paper, that way you can take down some notes. Roland is also, he's available to be your CPA as well, and I think, as I say in the end of the video, hiring him was paramount to the growth and success of my company here over the past 5 years, especially if you're not a financial guy like I am not. I run the business, but the numbers I leave for someone else. So if you're having a tough time financially, or you need a little bit more insight as to what it kind of takes to do what I do, or you want to get to a different location or different space in your business financially, please listen to everything that we're saying here, and be sure to take down Roland's information. It'll be in the show notes as well as drop throughout the video. I hope you guys are having a good start to your 2021. It is busy around here with DJ things and production things and new ventures and all sorts of stuff, but we'll get back to uploading videos somewhat on a regular basis. I appreciate all of you guys hanging out with me. We're over 20,000 now, which is super awesome, so I appreciate all you guys. Anyway, that's enough rambling for now. Here's the video with me and my CPA, Roland Moy. Enjoy. All right, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? You know who it is, DJ Woopig, and we've got a special guest on today. We've actually got my CPA, Roland Moy, out of Arkansas. He's a friend of mine. He handles all my finances, and you guys over Vlogmas, we did a couple videos on finances, and you guys really enjoyed it. We had really good feedback, and I thought, with the start of the new year and everybody kind of kicking things right back off, I figured it'd be a good time to have an accountant and a tax professional on to kind of help you guys out, and then we'll give you some information down at the end. So just a little bit of a background, like if you haven't seen those two videos, go back and watch those. You can pause this one and go back and watch those two, kind of to kick things off before you come back to this one. But I'll let you know that Roland handles all of my finances, and I know I say it to him a lot. Give people their roses. Give people their roses. I tell Roland all the time, at least once a meeting that we have, that I would not be in the position that I'm at if it wasn't for I would say three people. Three people have really helped my business grow. One, would be my wife. She pushed me into this, kind of gave me the go ahead to do this full time. B would be Blake. You guys know Blake. If there wasn't a Blake, there would not be a production side of Crown Entertainment. And C, my CPA. If it was not for Roland, there would, let me do my phone etiquette and turn my phone off. There would not, there'd be a Crown Entertainment up probably until this year, and we would not be in the position that we're in, because I am not a finance guy. I tell you guys all the time, hire your weakness, and I can't say this enough. Roland, thank you, because like I said, if it wasn't for Roland, 2020 would be a much, much rougher year. So Roland, first of all, thank you, and second of all, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for being on.
Thank you so much for those kind words too.
And timeout. So another timeout. Roland, we're recording this on a Sunday. Me and Roland both have children, and he's at the office with a freaking suit and tie on. And
I got to tie things up, it's the end of the year.
I tell him every time, there's no need to be so formal, but that's just the professional guy he is. So Roland, thank you for your professionalism, one.
Yes,
but
sir.
B, kind of give people an introduction to you and to what you do or who you are, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'll let you take it away.
So my name is Roland Moy. I'm an accountant. Have about 10 years of accounting experience. Started in government, moved over to nonprofit. Now I work for more of the corporate side. Also used to moonlight as a tax preparer for one of the big box, tax stores. They were pretty square. And then I got certified and launched my own firm, and now I'm here.
Awesome.
So military brat, just had a daughter. So
congratulations.
The newborn stuff is
we're both working on very little sleep here. Both working on little sleep.
And on the side, been about 9 years now. I've also been DJing. Of course, 2020 hit, and that there's some people at risk in my family. I've had it's been touched a long time, but I still got my equipment.
There we go. Yeah, and that's kind of how me and Roland met. One of the subcontractors that I use, we worked together, and that's where I met Roland probably 5-6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think you might have even watched some of my videos prior to us kind of meeting in person.
Yeah.
And that just kind of kicked things off. And I knew that at the time, I knew he did some stuff in finance, and there was one point in time where I was over my head and I didn't know what I was doing. And I considered Roland a friend, and he was also in the DJ business. So he kind of understood my business and the lingo. And I just said, man, let me reach out and see if I can get some help with my finances and my taxes. So we're going to keep this short and sweet. Ask him a couple questions, and then we'll leave some information down in the show notes and also on the screen if you want to reach out to him, because I think what Roland provides and the service that he offers, obviously it has been beneficial in the growth and success of my business, and he understands. He's not only an accountant, but like you heard, he's a DJ. If something pops up on your QuickBooks and it's from American Musical Supply or promo only, he knows the lingo and the jargon. And that's probably why me and him gel so well, because he knows what I'm doing and where I'm trying to go and where I'm trying to get to. So first question, Roland, as a CPA, what's the difference, or why is it so important for a small business or medium-sized business? Why is it important for them to have someone like you in place handling the financial side of things?
Yeah. So I think there's a few parts to it. One, it's probably best for you to spend your time actually growing the business or doing something in the business versus, doing transactions and looking at numbers all day. The other thing is, though somebody can, get a QuickBooks subscription and classify things, they may not do it correctly. So, if you say you record like a transfer, like the owner puts money into the business, if that gets recorded as income, you're going to pay double taxes on that. And then two, you just need like a professional looking at the numbers and telling you, where you can focus on and maybe what business lines to change something or do away with. So a lot of analysis there that can be done.
And I think that's probably that's all really good information. And you're right. Like I said, I would much rather. I think my time is much more valuable being spent actively trying to grow and promote my business versus worrying about tax law and things of that nature. And that's not to say that you shouldn't have a good stronghold or good idea of where your business sits financially. But some of the things that you said, such as transfers, that's things that I was doing that I had no idea what I was doing. So I take money from my personal account and put it in my business, or vice versa, record a transfer. And I think right when we first got together, that was some of the things that I was doing, paying double taxes on things, just just not simply not knowing the rules. And I think, is that a commonplace that you see with your clients?
I'll say that, and just not thinking about the expenses. So some things you need for the business, but other things aren't really needed. And they think that a tax deduction is going to get them more money back. But really, you got to make sure it's going to be something that's going to profit the business before you buy it. So I think what I see most is just a lot of waste in the DJ community.
Gotcha. And I've got to shut up because I know I used to have a problem, and sometimes before I ever make a big purchase, I always reach out to Roland, and it's not something that can be just a quick decision. And I think you'll agree with me when I say, if I'm buying something big, the one thing that you always do for me is you say, well, how much money is it going to make me? And you kind of lay it out. And if it doesn't make sense, then it's probably a good time to kind of rethink some of that scenario. Correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So it's always good to do like a cost benefit analysis before you make a big purchase like that.
Gotcha.
We'll give you credit there. A lot of those big ideas, they do come from you. So I'm always the second. I'm always the analysis afterwards. You still have to generate those ideas as the business owner. So props to you for that. Yeah.
Man, I appreciate it. So with tax time coming up, what are some things that DJ company owners kind of need to take a look at, especially with how 2020 may have been? You may have seen some big numbers. A lot of us have probably seen lower numbers than usual. When preparing taxes, what's some things that we kind of need to have in order to make our lives easier? And if people are going to research and look for a CPA or a tax preparer, what's something that they can do to make their accountant, financial person's life a little bit easier?
Yeah. So usually you hear about the business owner bringing in the shoebox. You want to try to avoid that. So if you don't already have your books kept on electronic, like QuickBooks or Xero or something like that, maybe think about moving to it. Something for the end of the year, you want to look at all your vendors, all the people you've paid, get their W-9 so you can do the 1099 at the end of the year. And there's a new form. It's not a 1099 miscellaneous. It's a 1099 NEC, non-employee compensation. So anybody who paid over $600, you'll be sending out a 1099 to them. Another thing you want to look at is your profit for the year, because your estimated taxes are due, mid-January. So then the final thing I'd say is just look at your budget for 2021. I know a lot of things kind of depends on the pandemic and how this vaccine goes, but really look at your runway. Track things out to see how much cash do you have, how long can the business last, whether the pandemic keeps going or eases off.
Yeah, and that runway, it's something that's been really kind of beneficial to me. You've put together a runway for me, and it really lets me know the state of or the health of my business in general. Because before I got a hold of you, if I had, let's just throw a number out there, if I had $100,000 in the bank, I thought that $100,000 was all mine. I could do with it whatever I please. And that's just not the case. You helped me kind of lay out some of the fixed expenses and help me realize that, that of that 100,000, yeah, some of it may be the business's, money, but a lot of that goes to fixed costs, such as, your contract,
rent, and
rent, insurance, your contractors, things that aren't really kind of set in stone when you look at the big picture. That big nugget may not all be yours. Along the side of taxes, working with QuickBooks, is that something that you would recommend to everyone, or is there a better option out there? Or, tell me a little bit more about the accounting software side of things. What's the best platform that you think would work best for someone in our industry?
Uh-huh. I'd say QuickBooks is the gold standard. It connects with your bank. Mostly everything transfers over. There's a little things here and there, with eBay, and you buy something from China or Germany or something like that. There's some things your accountant has to do, but really it streamlines a lot. And then when your accountant gets in there, he can piece things together and spit out some reports for you to go over. But yeah, definitely QuickBooks. But there's also Zero. If you're a spreadsheet guy, you can still do that. My only suggestion is, make sure it's electronic, something that's backed up to a cloud somewhere.
Now, with keeping track of expenses and all that stuff, how important is it that I know that you've told me that if you don't have a receipt for it, it kind of doesn't exist. With everything moving over to QuickBooks and being electronic, are those receipts still as important as they were years ago, or because we kind of have a rolling record of it, can we kind of let that stuff fly by the wayside?
Yeah, so receipts are very much important still. So a quick way to save that is just to snap a picture of it. All your photos go up to the cloud anyway, so you won't have to worry about losing them and getting crumbled like that. When it comes to, say, if you get audited and the IRS looks at your bank transactions, they really don't know what's what. They can't really go based on if something says eBay. They don't really know what that is. So it's best to have that receipt, so there's proof there.
And with keeping up expenses, I know, you hear it all the time in small business. If you buy something, it's kind of instantly thought of as a write-off for the business. Is that necessarily the case, or are there things that really could be taken either way, or stuff that's totally not a write-off at all?
Yeah. So the thing with write-offs is, though say if you buy something for, say, $300, that's not $300 of taxes that you're saving. You have to look at your tax bracket. So say you're in we'll say 20% for an example. So you buy something for $300, you only get 20% savings on your taxes. So $60 is what you save on a $300 purchase. So that's why it's good to look at expenses to make sure it's something that's going to benefit the business versus just letting it be a tax write-off.
Yeah, and I think I had that problem. I'm sorry to cut you off. There's a little bit of a delay. It's not as bad as when we tried to do this the other day.
This is part 2, by the way.
Part 2. We tried this, and the internet was hella messed up. But I remember whenever I first, when we first kind of got together and had our first meetings, we were kind of looking at the breakdowns, and you were saying, well, what is this and what is this? And I thought just because I swiped it on my business card, because it was something that I could use, such as a speaker or fuel, or I think one of the bigger things that I might have messed up on was the meal and entertainment side. That stuff, correct me if I'm wrong, just because you spend the money doesn't necessarily mean that all of that is applied to a tax break at the end of the year, right?
Right. That's right. Yeah. So things like meals, they were 50%. With this new, the new stimulus coming up, there's a provision in there to where the meals will be 100% write off instead of 50%. It's still got to pass though. And, there's some things in there where it has to be with the restaurant. That's besides the point. But yeah, a lot of things, not everything is a direct write off. Some things you have to piecemeal out over a few years. But yeah, you really need an accountant when you start growing and things get more complicated. Get with an accountant, and they'll set you straight.
Yeah. Speaking of big purchases, I know that this is probably going to come out around the first of the year. So the end of the year, old school traditional of, hey, I've got this much in my account, or I need to save this much money on taxes, so I need to go out and make a big purchase. To kind of save some money on taxes at the end of the year. Let's springboard towards the first of the year. So let's say that, for instance, you and I both know that lasers or an LED wall was in 2020 was one of the purchases that I was going to look at making. So we're talking $5, $10, $15, $20, $30,000. does it benefit me, or does it benefit a small business owner to write off that one big chunk, or is it simpler to do it over time? This is something that I needed help with when we first got together, because as you know, a lot of the big purchase that I made was on my credit cards, which is a no. But explain the bigger purchases to some of the people that are listening.
Yeah. So bigger purchases, there's just a concept called depreciation. So how do you want to set the cost against your revenue? So some people want to take it all at one time. Others want to spread it out over the life of the asset. So that's the accounting way of looking at it. From the cash flow point of view, you want to make sure it's something that, if you do have to get debt to get this thing, kind of set it against, how long is it going to take for you to make that money back, like to pay for itself. So when you're looking at debt, you want to look at the interest rate. Lowest interest rate, the better. But really just making sure it's profitable. So profit is revenue minus expense equals your profit. So like with the lasers, we were thinking, this can pay off in a year. You could have even put it on your credit card and all and
Roland,
been profitable.
It's breaking
at 30% interest.
It's breaking up. It's breaking up. But I just heard him say I could have put that on my credit card.
We did the analysis on it.
we did do the analysis on it, and man, that's one of those things that even Roland, when he was putting together my financial statements, he said, "Look, you're paying all this money in just interest on these cards. You'd be in a lot better shape if you got your finances together, put together an asset list that you can use as collateral for a bank loan, and go to the bank and get a loan at 5, 6, 7% interest.
Yes.
And actually see the needle move. So with that being said, I'm sure a lot of the people watching might be in a similar position where they've got, if they're extended on a high interest debt, before they sit down and talk to their accountant, would having an asset or inventory list, would something like that be beneficial if they come to you and they say, "Hey, I'm trying to clean up my finances. This is the money that I've got in debt. This is kind of what I have in assets." Is that something that's helpful from the jump?
Oh yeah, definitely. So when you're looking at a loan, kind of view it from the bank's perspective. They're going to give you this money. You're going to pay the interest. They expect for everything to be paid back. So if there's risk that it's not going to be paid back, they don't want to mess with you. So some things that can say, "Hey, I'm trustworthy," is a list of assets. Like if you have a truck, like that truck has value, definite value. You have these huge speakers, it has value. Also, the thing to look at is the kind of your revenue history, like your financial statements. If you can show that the business has been profitable and has been growing over the years, there's much more trust there than somebody that's just starting out or kind of coasting and losing money.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that's I think that was kind of pivotal in really kind of the jump off of the growth of my business. I think when you can see the needle move, that's one thing that I when I was able to get a business loan and pay all my credit cards off, even talking with my banker, he said, "You've got excellent banking history, you've got excellent record of paying your bills on time, but it was almost he was more interested in helping me because he knew that I was trying as hard as I could, and the money was coming in and the business was growing, but I was pushing a ball uphill because if I was only making those minimum payments, it was going to take 30 years for me to pay that off. Whereas if I get, even a bank loan of, let's say, 50 grand, I can have it paid off in 5 years versus it's going to take for a long time to get some of that high interest debt paid off.
Right. So no shame on anybody starting out and loading it up on the credit card, but when you get to a point where you're really growing and making more money, do yourself a business plan, meet with your accountant, and head to the bank. The interest rate makes all the difference.
Yes, it does, and I think even now, all of my credit cards are paid off. But even now, like when I purchased a truck this year, um, before we even got to the monthly payment necessarily, I think you even told me the monthly payment doesn't really matter. What matters is that interest rate, correct?
Right, right. That's right. Yeah, you're at a spot now where cash flow is under control. I'm not going to say it's not a problem. It's under control. So what was the bigger factor was how much interest are you going to be paying?
One more question, and we can kind of wrap this thing up. If if someone is kind of stuck in a rut and they need help, if none of this kind of makes sense to any of them, I know that we've talked kind of offline, and your license, really a CPA. You're licensed for work for anywhere in the state, right?
Right, right. Yes. So the licenses are awarded based on each state, but I can practice anywhere. So wherever you're at, you can visit the site or shoot me an email.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I'll have actually I'll have the website pop up here, and I'll have his email pop up as well, and it'll all be in the show notes. And I can't stress it to you enough, especially with the new year coming, with everything kind of hopefully getting back on track. This past year, I think when me and Roland are talking in our monthly meetings, it's kind of working out to where this year is kind of a wash. But if you're going to start 2021 with a fresh start, you need to have those finances in order. And I think hiring a CPA, hiring someone that knows the laws and knows where they can save you money, or something that may be costing you money behind the scenes, I think is paramount. So the last question, and I'll let you kind of explain, because I still have problems with understanding the differences. Some people have asked, because I'm an LLC, but I'm also an S-Corp, right? Kind of explain how that works out in a financial sense. I know that we switched over to S-Corp because it was going to save me some money in I guess it was self-employment tax.
right.
Can you explain how all of that works, or even if you're a sole proprietor, how that would work in our tax system? I
Sure.
know it's a
I'll
big
give you a
question. It's a big question.
yeah. So so LLC is kind of how the company is formed. The S corp is how you're viewed by the IRS. Um, so instead of you paying the corporate tax rate, it's kind of like you're paying the partnership or pass through tax rates. So you're individual, flows to you as an individual. So S corps are set up to help you save money on the self-employed tax. So as an employee, you pay 7.6%, and your company pays the other half, 7.6. If you're self-employed or just an LLC, single member kind of thing, you'll pay 15%. You'll pay the full amount. So when you set up an S corp, all the profit flows into the business. You pay some out as wages or salary to the owner, and the other part is just a distribution. There's no self-employed tax on it. So it's a legal thing, legal loophole there, but it's just a way to save you more money.
And
There's a lot of paperwork with it, so it's not
sure.
something I'd say try to do this on your own. Definitely talk to a CPA to do this.
And I know we just recently did this for my company. At what point would it make sense for someone who is, let's say, a sole proprietor or an LLC to make a jump to an S corp or beyond? Is there a threshold that you think someone needs to meet before it makes sense?
Yeah, it really depends on the industry. When you pay yourself that salary, it has to be something reasonable. But I will say 30 to 40,000 in profit. When you reach that, it's probably time to look at setting yourself up as an S corp.
Gotcha. And I know I said I had a last question, but let's toss one more in there.
Bonus.
A bonus question, because I started out the same way. So whenever I first got started, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just I was still working a full-time job as a W-2 employee for another company, and I was just kind of DJing on the side. And I had all of this money coming in, and I didn't have a separate bank account or anything like that. And I just kind of reported that money. I think there's a form on I think it's a 1040 EZ. It asks you how much extra income did you make throughout the year. Is it beneficial to have all of your finances separated? Can you do that if you're not making a lot of money? What's your take on having your personal finances separate from your business finances?
Yeah, so definitely have a separate account. There are free bank accounts out there for you, but it's a way to keep things separate. So if you're, going out, getting gas, going to the grocery store, those things you can't count as business expenses. But at the same time, if you buy equipment, you want that to hit the business account. You want to make sure you pick that up for your taxes. So it's a way to track everything and keep it in line, so you know what's personal and what's business. So definitely separate those things.
Definitely separate out the two. Cool. Cool. Well, I know this is kind of a 10,000 foot view of banking and financing and accounting, but Roland, a lot of great info here. And if people are interested in hiring you for your service, then you're available, is what we're telling people.
Yes.
And we're not going to throw out any costs, because I'm assuming every business is a little different. What you do for me, and I'll tell you what he does for me. So every month, Roland looks over my finances. We put together like a financial report. Or it ain't no we. Roland puts together the financial report. Kind of tells me the health of my business when it comes to finances. He handles my business taxes, my personal taxes, and all that stuff. So it can really, I'm assuming, Roland, it can kind of vary client by client based upon how
it all depends on what you need.
Gotcha. And the one thing that I want to tell people before we get off of here is, if whether you hire Roland or not, whoever you're hiring to look over your finances, be upfront and honest with them. I think that's one thing that the reason why me and Roland have such a good relationship is because at the end of the day, I know I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm not withholding any information. I think giving him everything that I know about where I spend my money, it's only beneficial to the both of us. Because I think even you told me this, you want to see my business succeed, because ultimately it's helping your business as well. So if I go downhill and you lose a client, that's one less notch in your belt as well. So whenever you do hire an accounting professional, it's paramount that you be upfront and honest with them about your financial situation. Whenever me and Roland first got together, I'm not going to say that it caught him off guard that I had all of this crap. I was in a lot of trouble. I needed some help, and I think my honesty was kind of the turning point of our relationship. It's like, look, I need help. I can't do this by myself. This is where I'm at, and this is kind of where I want to be. And through some time and some work and a lot of QuickBooks transactions, we have gotten to where we are now, which is a pretty safe place to be, even in a pandemic. And I can and simple things such as with people may not be thinking of things that came out this year, such as PPP or the EIDL. Having an accountant in place, kind of telling me what I need to do, what I need to take to the bank, having my financial records in order, because they ask for all of your financials whenever you're applying for some of this stuff. And I think some people may have missed out on some opportunities to get help. Just because they didn't have their stuff together. And it's okay. It's okay to get help when you need it. Don't take things like the PPP or EDIL as a handout, because make no mistake, you got to pay stuff like that back. But it sure helps in a time like this, and having your finances together, is really kind of key for something like that. I think Roland would agree for sure.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So when you were talking, I was thinking, like, when you go to the doctor and you have this problem, you want to be upfront with them so they can fix the problem.
Yeah.
You don't want to withhold that.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, Roland, I appreciate you. As always, you always do a fantastic job. I know we have our monthly meetings again, where we kind of discuss the health of the business, and I always give him hell because he pops up. I'm in t-shirts and sweatpants, and he pops up suit and tie every time, and that's just the professional that he is. So again, I'll have Roland's information here. And down in the show notes, please, if you need help, reach out to them. It's not free, but the reward, the benefit that I've received over having someone handle all of this stuff for me is you can't put a monetary value on it. That's just my opinion. So once again, Roland Moy, CPA, LLC, ABC. I don't know the letters. I don't know the letters behind the name.
Just CPA.
Just CPA. Just CPA. Well, again, everybody, if you've got any questions, please reach out to Roland. Don't reach out to me, because I will give you bad information. I will tell you to reach out to Roland. And I appreciate your time as always. And once again, thank you for what you've done for me and for my business. I really could not do this without you. So, ladies and gentlemen, my CPA, Roland Moy, thank you so much.
Thanks, John.